Hi, Michael. How are you doing?
Hi.
Hello. Hi, Antonia. Hope you're doing well. And hello, Margaret. Oh, we've got Joyce who's coming in and joining us as well. Excellent. Okay, so I'm just going to let the room filter through for a couple of more minutes, see who else is joining us.
Hmm.
Hi, Margaret. Lovely to see you. And for now, while we're waiting, just go into the chat and tell me what you'd like to gain from today's session. It's a really good way for me to know that am I covering what your expectations? If I'm not covering your expectations, I should be able to hopefully be able to cover it in the Q&A portion of the forum. And if it's a really juicy subject, I may even devote a whole forum for it later on
Mm.
in the next few weeks. So go into the chat and just put in what you'd like to gain from today's session. That would be great. And let's see who else is going to join us. How are you doing, Antonia? Have you got a break from school?
Yeah, but I will be having a staff meeting soon, so I'm afraid I won't be staying till the end.
Oh, that's all right. But we'll make sure we'll get the replay to you. So don't worry if you miss anything. We'll get the replay to you tomorrow morning. And lovely to
Wonderful.
see you, Margaret. How are you doing?
Yeah, I hope I stay on this time.
Well, yeah, I know you've had all these technical issues, haven't you?
Yeah, Zoom doesn't like me at all.
Zoom doesn't like you at all. I know. Well, we need to get Zoom to like you because I kind of do a lot of my things on Zoom. I was thinking about moving to Google Meet, but then I've been told, oh no, that's even worse. You get even more problems on Google.
Yeah, it's kind of really quirky. Yeah.
Oh, so Michael agrees with me there. So yeah, I've been scared off Google Meet because I've been told it makes Zoom look pretty good in comparison. So there we go. Okay, so let me have a look at the chat. Where are we? Oh, so people are still furiously typing away, I can see. Okay. Oh, we got Harvey coming in. So one more person to join us. I'll just let the room filter for another minute or so, and then we'll get started. So Anthony's saying inspiration to publish a best-selling book. Oh, well, hopefully any forum that you come to, Antonio, will give you the inspiration to publish a book. So I'm hoping to help you there. And
Not just a book, but best-selling.
yes,
Of course.
well, of course we all do. If you're going to put all that time and effort into writing a book, of course you want it to be a bestseller. So I absolutely get that. Margaret says, hello, everybody. It's my first meeting, so looking forward to it. Glad that you're here. Really glad that you're here, Margaret. Okay, so I think Harvey is. Hello, Harvey. Welcome. Harvey's been here
Now. Okay.
times.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Hi everyone. Hi Matali. How are
Hello.
you?
Excellent. Okay, so let's, oh, I think we've lost Antonia. Hopefully she'll be able to come back a little bit. Okay, so let's get started. So give me 2 moments. Let me just share my screen. Get rid of that.
Sorry, in a different place today.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. So let's get started. So first of all, if I can ask you just to mute yourself while just for the first 10-15 minutes, just for the first 10-15 minutes. After that, I want to hear your voices. Obviously, I get sick of just hearing my own voice, to be honest. But just for the next 10-15 minutes, if you can mute yourself, that way I don't get distracted. I am trying to walk and talk at the same time. Multitasking here, guys. You don't want me falling off my treadmill because I got distracted by one of you making a noise. So thank you so much for that. Okay, so let's start this slideshow. So some of you have been here before and some of you, this is the first time. So first of all, welcome to the Thought Leader Author Forum. Now, the Thought Leader Author Forum has 2 parts. The people who've been here before will be aware of this, but the new people won't be. So first of all, part 1, this is about 10-15 minutes, sometimes a little bit longer, depending on the subject. And we talk about the topic of the day. And today's topic is all about how I've worked out how authors use their books to build passive income streams. It's some of them I'm using, some of them my clients are using, and I mean, some of my clients have built some amazing businesses off the back of their books, and they've built different passive income streams. So that's really the inspiration for today, to really get you to open your eyes and not just see your book as this thing that you write and then that's it, but really how it can be leveraged as a tool to build different income streams for your business, your brand, non-profit, whatever it is that you've got. And then part two, this is my favorite bit of the forum. This is where you can ask questions, you can give me feedback, you can tell me what's happened with you, what your experience has been on this. This is the most favorite bit of the forum. There's a reason why I call this a forum and not a masterclass or a webinar. I speak a lot for a living. This is kind of what I do all the time. And I actually get sick of my own voice. So I created the forum because I wanted, Margaret's laughing at me. I do get sick of my own voice. It's like, oh God, it's me talking again. And that's why I created this weekly public forum. So yeah, I can speak for the first 15 minutes, but then after that, I want you to get involved. Give me your experiences. Even disagree with me if you have to. That's absolutely fine. But you'll be amazed what can come out when you really put yourself into this forum instead of just sitting back passively. So do get involved. And also, because you've turned up today, you will get everything that we're going to go through today. I will send you a workbook tomorrow morning, or my system will send a workbook out tomorrow morning. So you can write notes if you wish. Some people just like writing notes habitually. So if you want to do that, go for it. But don't worry if you miss anything. It's like, oh my God, I've missed a slide, right? Don't worry about that. You will get everything sent to you tomorrow. And also, just for coming to the forum, you can pick one of these amazing causes, and we, as the vegan publisher, will donate to one of these causes on your behalf. It costs you nothing apart from the energy it takes to make it click, really. In fact, what I'll do, here we go. I'll actually put the link in the chat right now. And that means while you're listening to me, you can actually go there and click. It literally takes 2 clicks. You just pick one of the causes, whichever one you think. It's a difficult one because they're all amazing causes, of course, but pick one and then we will make a donation on your behalf. Okay, so that's in the chat now. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, a disclaimer. I use the term passive income streams because that's the term that's used a lot. The other term that's used is residual income streams. But this is a warning button before you're wondering what this big red button is. I don't believe there really is something that is completely passive. You kind of need to get the ball rolling with anything first. I mean, I don't want to say passive income doesn't exist at all. I suppose if you come from a family with huge generational wealth, then you probably don't have to work at all and you'll still have money. So I suppose there's kind of passive income that kind of way. But for most of us, for normal people like you and me, there really isn't something that is 100% passive income. However, what I mean by passive income is the ability to create an asset that can pay you again and again. And you'll need to do a bit of upkeep to the asset, but overall, you can make money without having to do the same work again and again. So a great example is if you buy an apartment. Now you can't just let your apartment, just let it out to people and forget about it. Lord knows what will happen to it. So obviously there's upkeep there. You've got to upkeep the apartment. But in general, you're going to make money from it passively because it's not like you have to redecorate and redo the apartment every single time. So that's a form of passive income. So that's what I mean. I wanted to get that disclaimer out of the way because some people think, oh, does that mean with a book, I'll be able to just switch a button on somewhere and then just loads of money will come into my bank account and I don't have to do anything? It's like, I wish. I'm still searching for that button. I don't think that button exists. But relatively, you can create passive income streams as an author. So I did a poll earlier on Monday. And I wanted to ask my network. And so I want to ask them, do you think passive income streams is important as a business owner? 79% said yes, which is pretty huge. And it just goes to show as a business owner, it's really, really important. I see too many business owners, mainly coaches and consultants it tends to be, where they work the hours and they get paid. It's basically a job, even though they are their own boss, and yet I wouldn't call them an entrepreneur. They've just given themselves a job. And now they're working harder for themselves than they ever did for a boss, ironically, as well. So you want to get out of that. You don't want to rely on just literally putting, basically exchanging time for money. by all means do that. I still do that. I'm a coach. Margaret is actually one of my clients. So I'll be looking forward to seeing her within my coaching circle inside the Thought Leader ecosystem in the next few days. So definitely I'm also giving my time. But what I've also done, and a lot of my clients have done, have built these passive income streams where money comes in, where I'm not bartering my time for money always. Because you put yourself in a very dangerous position when you're always bartering time for money. What if you stop working? What if you become ill? What if you need to just take a break for 2 weeks? What if someone close to you passes away and you just need to be there for the family? It literally means your income stops if you don't have passive income streams. So it's really important. And it's wonderful to see that 79% of business owners actually agreed and said it's a key factor. It really, really is a key factor. So this is something that I created with the help of my earliest clients back in 2018, when I started to see the wonderful things that they were doing with their books and building passive income streams. Now, if you followed me for any length of time, you'll know I'm a massive fan of infographics, of alliteration, of acronyms, because my memory is terrible. I just don't remember much. So therefore, I need to create these things to help me remember. And then what I found out is, oh, other people also have brains like Siv, and they quite like the idea of me giving them these, you know, basically they're mnemonics, aren't they, to help us remember. So this is something that helps me remember, and hopefully will now help you remember all the different assets that you can create to give you passive income as an author. So as you can see, the assets is an acronym, and it starts clockwise from audiobooks. So let's go through it. Let's see how this works as an author. So the first passive income asset that you want to create after you've published a book is audiobooks, or one of the first ones you want to think of. This is something that I'm going to be doing in November this year. So I'm booked into a studio in November this year to create my audiobook. Annoyingly, I should have done my audiobook about 3 years ago, but I'm so busy publishing awesome authors like Margaret that my book ends up always right at the back of the queue, because I'm obviously putting all of my clients in front of me. So it's been 3 years in the making trying to find this time, but I'm going to do it this year. There's 2 reasons why you should consider audiobooks. First of all, you can charge more for them. A lot more, somewhere between 2 to 5 times as much as you would charge for a paperback or a hardback book. People expect it. People think, oh, well, you know, someone's gone into a studio and they've sat there for hours and they've voiced their entire book, they narrated it, and then it was mastered by a sound engineer. That they expect to pay more. So your margins are there. Remember, the margins on books, whether we're talking about paperback or even more so Kindle, the margins are tiny. The margins are absolutely tiny. I find it frustrating because books, I really do believe, are in their own special category in the world. In that most of the products in the world, the rarer they are, such as diamonds, for example, you can charge more for them. And the more common something is, the more everyday something is, you can't charge much for them. And yet books are in their own special category. People revere books. Think of the way people look up to authors. Think of the way people, you know, when they're trying to say someone's clever, they will say they're well read. And yet somehow that doesn't translate into them wanting to pay money for books. And it drives me crazy. A book could be life-changing, but people complain if you charge more than 10 to 20 pounds or 10 to $20 for a paperback or hardback. And they complain even harder if it's more than $5 or £5 for a Kindle. So your margins are absolutely tiny. You're not going to make much money from your book itself. Whereas an audiobook, you can charge 2 to 5 times as much as your paperback or hardback. So there's a margin there. But there's an even bigger reason than the fact that the margin is bigger. And that is, by creating an audiobook, you make it easy, so easy for even the busiest of people to consume your message. I've got at least 100 books in one of my rooms downstairs that I still haven't read. Some of these books are 6, 7, I'm sure some of them are nearly 10 years old, and I still haven't read them. Some of them I bought, some of them have been given to me by various friends and colleagues. It's just finding the flipping time. I don't find the time to actually read that many books. Despite being a publisher, I spend most of the time reading my clients' books. I don't actually don't have a lot of time to read other people's books. So that's the problem with books. Whereas with an audiobook, well, I go for a walk half an hour every morning. I can consume at least part of an audiobook then. There's people who have dogs, they need to go out at least once a day. Some of them, depending on your breed, will need to be walked 2 or 3 times a day. We've all got chores to do. We've got ironing to do. We've got various housework to do. You make your book far more easy to be consumed if you have an audiobook version. A physical book, Kindle, or whether it's a tangible book, involves somebody sitting down and focusing just on your book. An audiobook is wonderful because they can do something else. They can go for a walk. They can do chores. They can be commuting to work, or commuting to their offices or wherever they are, and they could be consuming a message. And remember, these books are essentially branding tools or marketing tools for your business or brand. How would you expect some of these people to turn into your clients or strategic partners if they don't consume your message? So having an audiobook is twofold. Not only initially can you get more return on investment because the profit margins is bigger than it is for physical books, but also the more people that consume your message, the more they come into your ecosystem and they want to interact with you, whether that's as a client or a customer, whether that's as a strategic partner or an investor, whatever it is. People need to consume your message before they start doing that. So audiobooks is the first A from assets. The next S is self-paced program. This is something that I've done and I really recommend it. So this is especially for coaches and consultants who tend to work on one-to-one basis or group coaching. You can do that, carry on doing that. You should charge very highly for that because it's something where you are really involved and you're advising people and taking your time. You should charge for your knowledge. But be aware, you can actually take some of that knowledge or all of that knowledge and put it into a program. Now what you can do is people who can't afford your one-to-one coaching or your group coaching, you actually have a self-paced program and then people can go through it. I have a program. It's based on everything that I teach in my main ecosystem, but it's just a small program. It's just step-by-step videos. They don't get anything else. They don't get any of my time. I don't give them any support apart from technical support. So, for example, if they can't get into the program because there's something wrong with their password, then of course I need to help them get into the program. But apart from that, they get nothing else. I charge them around, I think it's at the moment I'm charging around about £50 a month. And it just means people are on a subscription. They're in that program until they say they don't want to be in that program anymore because they've already learned everything they need to know. And then the subscription stops. They just let me know and a member of my team stops them. It's wonderful. I've got around about, I think I've got about 13 people in there right now. But that's about £650 of residual income I'm making every month. Doesn't take much upkeep. I'm not really doing anything apart from answering the odd email from someone who says, I can't get in and I can't reset my password. Can you please? And even then I pass it on to one of my technical assistants and they deal with it. Now, it's not a huge amount of money, but isn't it nice knowing that you've got, I mean, that can pay a mortgage, you know, or that can pay for your car or something like that. This is what I mean about building something. So you're not, if I became ill, I will know that at least I'm going to get a few £100s from my self-paced program. And as long as the software just carries on doing what it's doing, which it should do because I'm paying for the software, then that is money I'm making residually or passively. So think about what you can do. Some people struggle with this and they're like, oh, I don't really know what would go into a program. And say, well, think about what you talk about with your clients. I bet you take them through a process. Well, could you record yourself talking somebody through that process? And the wonderful thing is, if you've written a book, then chances are good chunks of your book actually do that anyway. All you need to do is just fill it out more. And that's what a lot of my clients did. They used their book as their main sort of, think of it as a skeleton of the course or the program they're building, and they added more stuff onto it. That's all they did. So it's very, very simple. A lot of people worry about self-paced programs and go, oh my God, it's going to take me months to create. Yes, if you're starting from scratch. But if you've written a book And I hope this for people who haven't written a book yet. So Margaret, I know that's what you're definitely one of those people. I hope this excites you because you can actually think, well, if I just brainstorm this book out, that can also be a program in a few months' time. And it's not going to be anywhere near as hard now to create that program because you've done the book. So I hope that excites you because that's something you can definitely look into doing. So that's S. The first S from assets is self-paced program. So the next one, as you can see, I've combined these two, but the next S in assets is subscriptions. Now I've combined, so what I've done is I've got a self-paced program that I charge on a monthly basis. I don't have to. I have many clients who've got a self-paced program and they charge just one fee. Pay $497 to get in. I've got one gentleman who charges quite a lot for his program. It's nearly $1,500 to get into his program. But it's one go, you just pay in one go. Or you can have it as a subscription like I have, okay? But you can also think about other things that are subscriptions. So, for example, let me give you an example. I know one gentleman, he's not my client, but he's a friend of mine. And what he does is he creates funnels. So he's a designer and he creates funnels for people and charges a lot of money because he's goddamn great at what he does. However, lots of people want funnels and they can't afford him. So what he's done is he's created a subscription and then every month they get a done for you funnel. And then obviously they then have to manipulate it and make it work for them. He doesn't do any of that because obviously that's what he does for his high ticket clients. But people just pay for a subscription. I think he charges around about 50 or 60 pounds a month and they get a done for you funnel every month. You could do that, for example, as a social media expert. For example, you could be somebody who creates social media for your high ticket clients, but there'll be loads of people who can't afford you. They can't afford somebody to design their own social media. So maybe you can create a subscription where you send them every month 10 of the best performing social media posts just on Canva or some kind of free software. They then have to go in and manipulate it and change it to whatever they need it to be. But think about it, for you, it's really easy. It's stuff that you've already got. Maybe you're using with your main one-to-one clients and you're just repurposing it and creating a subscription. You can, it doesn't even have to be anything as involved in that. I know one gentleman where he pays for a newsletter. Now, I remember the first time he told me is that he gets people to pay him for his newsletter. I thought, really? People actually pay you just for a month, just to get a newsletter from you? Well, it depends on the information. If the information is important, then people will pay for it. So what he does is he's based in the UK and he sends out every month, he sends out gambling tips for people who like playing football pools. And he's very good. He's scarily accurate. So people are happy to, I think he only charges about £25 or something like that a month. And people are happy to pay £25 a month because these people make more than £25 a month when they put their bets on. They're just gamblers and they like betting on football. So that's what they do, you know? So you could even just charge for a newsletter. It doesn't even have to be anything quite involved. It's all about looking at your specific sector, your industry, and finding out what are people struggling with, what would they need from you, and what is something that you can do that doesn't take much for you. What you don't want to do is get into, oh, I now need to create something from scratch every month. Then you're getting distracted. You need something that you can just repurpose. So as I said before, somebody, a graphics designer, for example, they're already creating stuff for their clients. Can they just create basic versions from the stuff that they're creating for clients and hand them over as templates to other people? So something that's very, very simple that you can do. So think about what could you possibly give as a subscription, because subscriptions are great. Once people are in, they tend to stay in for a long while. As long as you're giving them value. I've got some people who've been in my self-paced program because it's on a subscription basis. They've been in it for over 2 years and they're slowly working their way towards their book. So it can become very, very lucrative. E stands for ebooks. Now, ebooks in itself don't make a huge amount of money. They don't make a huge amount of money because most people start whinging if you ask for more than a £5 for a Kindle. However, the reason why it's inside the passive income assets is I've met so many authors who didn't publish on Kindle or didn't publish an ebook version of their book. They just published the paperback or the hardback version. And I always think you should never ever do that. Having an ebook is an asset. I've even had people who've bought my ebook just to see if it's any good. And then once they realize they like it, they then bought the hardback or the paperback version. So some people even use ebooks as a try before you buy, even though that does make sense because they're still buying, even if it's a small amount of money. But I guess what they're doing is because ebooks are so much, usually so much cheaper than getting a paperback or a hardback, they kind of want to test it out by seeing the ebook first. So you want to do that. Also, there are some people who just don't buy books, physical books anymore now because they don't have the space for physical books. So even though they like books, they just don't physically have the space to store books anymore. So therefore, they only consume electronically. So always make sure. I think the reason why some authors, I've noticed this more and more, I think the reason why some authors are shunning ebooks, some of them, they're a little bit old fashioned and they want to get back to, I'm like, yeah, okay, you have your little demonstration. If you're actually wanting to get your brand or your business out there in a big way, you can't afford to like have these kind of, oh, I'm a fan of real books. You can be a fan of real books in your personal life. But when it comes to your business, you need visibility. And when you don't have an ebook, you are literally cutting off so much visibility for your book, your brand, your business. So I insist, for example, all of my clients, they all are published on Kindle, and then they're published as well as a paperback or hardback. So we always do both. So even though ebooks themselves are not huge passive income generators, I wanted this in this circle because I wanted you to be aware of how important it is to make sure that you do have an ebook version. Final one, this is really interesting and something I've not done yet. And I'm a little bit excited to actually launch this and do this at some point, hopefully in 2025. T from Assets is tactful reselling. This is something I had no idea about until one of my clients from back in 2019, he published his book, told me what he'd done. And I thought, what? Good. Thankfully, I wasn't on my treadmill, so I didn't fall off. But I would have fallen off if I was on the treadmill. I really would have, because I just didn't even know this was a thing. What you can do is you can take one of your other assets, so for example, your self-paced program or your subscription, and you can sell it to somebody who then promotes it in a territory that you're not interested in. So let me give you an example of something that I'm probably very likely to do next year, is that I've decided I no longer want to work with people based in Australia, New Zealand, sort of Oceania, that area. I've taken on clients before. I've got one client right now in New Zealand, lovely lady, absolute nightmare trying to sync our calendars. Absolute nightmare because she's 13 hours ahead of me. So I've made a decision, as lovely as all those people are, and I want to publish amazing people, but we don't live in a flat world, unfortunately. So it's just too much for me. And it's difficult for them as well. They don't get the same kind of response from me, and they don't get that, and it's difficult to sync our calendars. So I made a decision, I'm not going to work with people in Australia, New Zealand. It just doesn't work because of the time difference. But what I can do is I could sell my self-paced program to somebody in a territory that I'm not interested in. And they then promote it and they take money. So what you do is you can sell your program and give somebody a license to use it in a specific territory or a specific country. They're not allowed to come and sell it in your place, so they're not allowed to be in competition with you, but they can sell it somewhere where you've got no interest in. So this is really, really big. This is not something I've ever thought of, but I've had a couple of clients who've done that, and they've ended up making several $1,000s or several £1,000s, and it was nothing for them. They're still using their asset, but they've just sold a license to their asset to another part of the world that they have no interest in pursuing. So that's a really advanced thing. It's not something most of my clients have tackled yet. I haven't even tackled yet, but I just wanted to put that in there. It's kind of like a bit of a carrot on a stick for you guys, just to get you excited and think, actually, if I build out some of these assets, if I build out an audiobook, if I build out a self-paced program, if I build out a subscription, you never know. You could end up making extra money by selling it off. I know somebody, one of my clients, who sold his self-paced program to somebody in Japan who then translated it into Japanese. Now, this guy had he had no interest in going after the Japanese market. He was never going to do it. And yet he was able to make just shy of $4,000 off this license. $4,000 for nothing. He did nothing. He basically put together a contract saying you can't sell this in my own home territory. You have to sell it in Japan, and that's it. That's it. And then he got $4,000 for doing nothing else, for something that he already had and he'd already built and was already making money for him. So I just wanted to give you an idea of what is possible. Now, I have recently met an awesome gentleman based down in the southeast of England who actually now does this. He actually goes and finds people in other parts of the world and pitches your product. And if they're interested, sorts out the license for you. So you don't even have to sit there and think, well, where am I going to find these people? And isn't that going to be difficult? I actually know somebody who can do that. And in fact, when I'm ready to do this sometime in 2025, he's the person that I will be using. So if this sounds like if you're a little bit advanced and you've already created things, even if you're not an author, but you've actually created a self-paced program or you have some kind of subscription or something like that, get in touch with me and I will put you in touch with this gentleman because he's brilliant and he'll be able to find you people that you could potentially sell off your asset to a certain territory as a licensee. Okay. So there we go. This is, let me just come back to here. These are the 5 passive income assets that I recommend authors to build up. Now, as I've said, I've kind of given you my journey as well here. I don't think about, oh my God, I need to get all of these built out within the next couple of months. As you can see, I haven't built out all of these yet. I don't have an audiobook yet. That's going to happen later on this year. I do have a self-paced program, which is also a subscription. And I do have an ebook. I haven't even started with tactful reselling yet. So you got to do things in time, do them in bite sizes. So don't put pressure on yourself to try and do everything at once. But as long as you keep this in mind, over time, build out these assets. Because when you do that, you are now building passive income streams, which means if your main income stream dries up, like I said, you get ill, there's a bereavement in the family, you need time away, you still got money coming into your bank account. You're not reliant on bartering your time for money, which is a terrible place to be because then it makes you scared of ever getting ill or ever needing time off. Okay. So let me just come out of this. I'd love to know what you guys think of this. Hello, Angela. You snuck in there, didn't you?
Yes.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well. I don't know how much you got of that. Probably not much of it.
Yeah, I wrote it all down.
Oh,
But I missed obviously part of it, but there's a replay.
gold star, gold
I was
star.
tempted to stay in bed. I'm like, I'm just gonna go for the last half.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Okay,
Yeah.
so what are your thoughts? Anybody? Has anybody built anything like this out? I know we've got to go. So I know, Michael, you're already an author. So have you built anything like this yet? Or have you got other passive income streams that you can talk about? Feel free to jump in and let me know what your thoughts are.
So there we go. Okay. I'm basically turning the chapters of the book into videos.
There we go. We've got a self-paced program going on there, haven't we?
Right. So I'll just basically, and it's basically me reciting, as it were, you know, the information in the book and then adding a couple of extras. So I figure I've got that already done, you know, and it's a book for people starting. It's mostly a book for people starting a business. So it's basically aimed at small business entrepreneurs,
Yes.
which I think is a pretty good market nowadays. And
it is.
and again, as I've told, I don't know if I sent you a sample yet. If I haven't, I will today. And again, it sort of has a humorous bent, so it's informative and entertaining. So hopefully that'll keep people going through, you know, wanting to subscribe to all 13 chapters. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. It's a great idea. And all you're doing is just flesh out the program. And
Mhm.
also a good little piece of advice I give you, Michael. I've had clients who've done this,
Yeah.
and you know, I think the biggest worry for them is, well, if it's just literally what I say in the book, why would people pay £97, £197. Why when you can get the book for £10 on Amazon or $10 on Amazon? Why would they do that? Well, what you do is you just put that little bit more in. So think
Right.
about, for example, in what you're helping small businesses, well, small business owners start a business.
Right.
There's probably checklists. There's probably
I got that.
forms and questionnaires that you can add that you didn't put into the book
Right.
that you can add into this, and that's what ups the value.
I'm
Just
a
think of things that can up
right.
the value like that.
Right. I'm a designer, so I can come up with things.
Oh,
You know, I have at the end of the book, I have like a resource chapter that they can download once they've gone through everything. I do have some sort of like humorous tests at the end of every chapter that I could
I like
basically,
those.
well, I could flip those and basically make them a little bit more meaty, you know. Still keeping to the spirit of the book, but like you said, a checklist or a quiz or a way to sort of rate
Just little
yourself.
things like that.
Rate
definitely
yourself.
bump up
How are
the
you
value.
doing? And it's a very good idea. Basically, turn this book into like an introductory course,
Yeah.
because I do cover all the topics needed to start a business. I do it from my own experience and point of view, but I could certainly add to that. And then again, since it's a video, you've got me, you have my charming self every time you tap into this. So,
And it's all about perception of value. The fact that they
right.
can see you, the fact that you recorded something, that
Mhm.
it makes them think like, oh, I should be paying more than this. You
Mhm.
know? So yeah, I don't, like I said, it does frustrate me about books. I don't understand it. I don't know any other product on the planet that is valued and revered so much, and yet people complain about
Yeah.
spending much. There's
I know.
nothing else. I don't think there really is anything else. It stands on its own. Books just stand on their own as a product like that. I can't think of anything else sold in the world that on the one hand is revered and on the other hand people don't want to spend a lot of money on. It makes no sense, because everything else that is revered you spend a lot of money on, and everything that is common and everyday you don't spend much money on. But books are just in a very weird category of one. So yes, you've got the right idea. Videos and things like that will actually up the value and make people feel like, oh, I should be spending $100 or $400 or whatever it is you're going to charge for the course. I should be spending that. I shouldn't be comparing it to a $10 book on Amazon.
Right. And I think I shared a story with you. I'll quickly share it with the group. When I was starting to write the book, I sent it out to a number of literary agents, and I got this one reply where they told me they loved the book. They said it was great, it was funny, it was on point, it was like really, they were very excited. They held several meetings about me and my book. The problem is no one knew who the hell I was.
Yeah.
So like they didn't see that I had a market. So the book, they had no interest in selling the book as a book. They would have been more interested in selling me.
They can't sell the book as a book.
That's what I mean, but they had more interest. No, I'm just saying, that's just how the dynamics of the industry is.
Yeah.
If I could be famous and write a crappy book. I would have been better off being famous with a crappy book.
Oh, absolutely.
and being
Think of all
unknown
these
with a great
reality
book.
stars who are authors 4 times over.
Right,
and
yeah.
I can't even finish a chapter of their books because it's
I know.
so
It's
badly
just,
written.
it was a real eye opener,
Yeah. That's the reality. Sadly, it's publishers nowadays, because they have no power to make or break an author as they used to do.
Mhm.
Now it's all about if you have an audience. So you
Right.
could be, like the proverbial reality star that can't really put 2 sentences together most of the time. But if they've got a sizable Instagram following, the
Right.
publisher will offer them a publishing deal, and then someone like you writes a great book, but they're like, yeah, but you don't have a market, so we're not gonna. There's nothing we can do.
I know, yeah. Like I said, it was a real eye opener. It's like
Yeah.
if it,
Angela, did you want to say something there?
Yeah, I've been working on mine. I actually have a question, kind of unrelated. I wanted to ask you too, because you might know. Okay, so for mine, for everybody who doesn't know me, I'm working on a book called Feed Your Chakras, and it's an introduction and guide for busy individuals to the chakra system and how to use them in different modalities to kind of open the chakras basically and untap their potential. So it works on the premise that we all have different learning styles, and some people might not know anything about the chakras, whereas other people, are maybe experienced yogis or foodies or whatever. So it is my passion project. It combines like all of my different things, a lot of recipes, but it also has my guided meditations in it. And since I think the last time I've been here, I've kind of taken a new approach. So I'm creating protocols for these people. So each week, as you're dedicating and learning on each chakra, you have a bunch of different practices to do. So maybe it's a 5-minute meditation or a visualization, or you have a recipe. So every day you're doing different things, working with the chakras in different ways, but it takes no more than like an hour. So it like works to the busy schedule, and it gives people that like you're scheduling this into your busy schedule thing. So that's my new part of it. But anyways, what I'm doing with that is I actually want to create a coaching program kind of alongside it. For
Great.
each week we do the chakras.
Yeah.
I am going to be doing an ebook for mine, because I have this. I actually want to create a workbook to go alongside it.
Oh,
So that
okay.
you can like fill it out and do their like assessments, like this is the chakra I need to work on. And I've been working on a mailing list. I'll actually, guys, I'll put the little invite that I'm doing for my first taste or my second tasting.
Yeah, stick it in the chat.
Yeah, and for the tactful reselling, I was thinking of making like little projects. I'm also a designer or an art director, so I want to have like little flashcards and things like that that are things digital products I can sell.
Yeah,
that come to my book.
absolutely.
Okay, so anyways, I did my first tasting on let's see if I can just drag it in here on March 17th for St. Patty's Day. It was called Go Green because it's the green chakra, the green heart chakra.
Yeah.
And so I did a bunch of green themed recipes. And my next tasting is going to be at the end of the month, but I'm doing a blindfolded taste test because it's like for the third eye intuition. So it's like you're enhancing your other senses.
Yeah.
And you're relying on them rather than your eyes to decide. So, but I'm doing like the full chakras. So I'm doing like a 7 tasting thing. So that's one of my little designs for my invites. It's
Yeah.
super cute.
No, I love
And-
that. And you're obviously good at designing. So you could actually create things that other
Yeah.
people can then use.
I've actually done a few things. This is just a little fun image. It's not like amazing. I did it in Canva last night, but I sent out my email last night. So my mailing list is now at like 100, which is nothing, but I'm so proud because it's finally growing.
But no, you know what? I'm not just saying this. It's not really about how big your list is. It really
Yeah.
is. 100 people who are completely tuned into what you're doing is more powerful than having 10,000 people that a list that you
Yeah.
just bought from somebody, but they don't really know you. You don't even know
Totally.
how many of those email lists are even active anymore, or whether it bounces as soon as you send a message. I'm always dubious when
No,
people
people
tell me
actually
that
like I had a
lists
pretty
are-
good open rate and stuff too, because I've been promoting it on events.
Yeah,
And I'll
yeah.
show you guys my my pages. So I'm actually like normally would never do this, but I'm doing it in Canva because it's very colorful. So these are kind of what it looks like so far. Those are just some of the recipes. It doesn't have the protocols in there, but you can kind of see there's me with my little lemons.
Oh, these are great.
So I've been putting so much work into it. So anyways, this is what I wanted to run by you. So I've been promoting it on LinkedIn, which is where we met. And
Yeah.
somebody was actually really intrigued by my book. So they went on Amazon and they
Yeah.
went to go look it up. And they're like, hey, I just saw that your book is, I saw Feed Your Chakras on Amazon, but it's by this girl named Tiffany. And I was like, why? Because I've actually been promoting this for a long time. Like this concept isn't like new.
Okay.
So there's a girl, and it's not published yet. It's about to be released. And it's called Feed Your Chakras, and it's by this chef in New York. And like, not to be like whatever, but like it's just like her book, like it looks like really ugly, like the cover and stuff like that. So I don't know what to do now because I don't know what the legalities are about that. But mine, like I feel like Feed Your Chakras because it's not just about food. So that works on so many levels.
It's so much more. It's so okay. So there's 2 approaches that you.
My heart broke.
Oh, bless you. It isn't that. I mean, I've my business, my website, my book is all trademarked because
Yeah.
anybody you have to do that. So I'm
Can I still
assuming
do
Feed
that?
Your Chakras, you've not trademarked the phrase.
Yeah. Yeah, like, well, I haven't even published it yet.
You
That's
haven't
the thing.
published it, yeah. No, you're still allowed to, by the way, you're still allowed to trademark something before you publish it. Because think about it, if you create a business name and you don't want
Yeah.
somebody else to poach that business name, you trademark it. You don't actually, the business doesn't have to have started running yet. You don't
How
need
long does it
start
take
making
to
that public.
trademark?
Well,
Oh.
it depends on each country. So with
Yeah.
you, I couldn't tell you, but I don't know if Michael knows, but in the UK, it only takes usually a week or so. It takes
Okay, because
only
then I'll go
about
do it
half.
first.
Yeah.
Because it's
Yeah.
like I have
It
this
only
whole
took me
coaching
half an hour to
program.
fill out the form. Then I had to pay the fee. I think the fee was around about £120 or something that I paid in the UK. And
Oh,
then
that's
a week or
nothing.
so late, I know it's not a huge amount of money. And
No.
then you get an email a week or so later and saying what they do is they check to see nobody else has already trademarked it. And as long as they
Okay.
haven't, they send you a certificate saying it's now yours.
Yeah, that's it, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I mean,
So-
there's a difference between trademark and copyright. Copyright takes a little longer just because there's they basically wait to make sure that no one else is claiming the name.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got to publish some sort of an announcement that that's the final step. You need a trademark lawyer to help you with this just because there's a lot of paperwork involved. But it wasn't
Is there a lot
terribly
of paperwork
expensive.
involved in the UK? It's actually very simple. I didn't need a lawyer at all. It's that you
It
go to
helped.
the government website and they literally talk you through. Margaret's
Right,
nodding her head.
maybe
She's obviously gone through this. It's actually a very, very simple. Even someone like me managed to do okay, and I'm normally like bamboozled very easily when it comes to government, stuff and literature. But it was quite easier. Maybe it's a little bit more convoluted.
it was, and
Across the
I did this
pond.
years ago. I think it could be all automated at this point,
Yeah.
but you can certainly get yourself started just online. Just,
Okay.
where
Is
are
there
you?
anywhere, Michael?
She's
Is
in the
there
States and then
anywhere?
I'm in Canada, but like my coaching
Oh.
program's obviously
Okay.
going to be like online. It's international.
There has to be. I know in the UK, I can go to a government website and search first of all to see if somebody else has already got it or
Mhm.
not.
Yeah.
So there will be something like that in Canada, Angela, where you
Yeah,
go
it's on
check
new
and
name search.
and see
You
if
do
this
name
lady has
search,
already
yeah.
done it. If this lady's already done it, then I'm afraid
Okay.
there's nothing you
Although-
can do. There's nothing you can do.
I don't
So
think
if
she
she's
has. I'm
already-
trying to see if I can send you guys the book cover. I just want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, but,
A simple tip, but I've had clients overlook, would simply start with a Google search of the name you want to use.
yeah.
Because sometimes it may not show up in an official site, but it's out there. So
Mm-hmm.
if they
No,
haven't.
but the reason I was saying that, Michael, is if it's not an official site, Angela could be a bit of a biatch if she wanted to, and snipe the name.
Not really, though.
of-
I feel like she stole the name from me.
Well, there you go. So you can snipe the name
That's
back.
what I mean,
If
right,
she
yeah,
hasn't
same thing, yeah.
registered it, you can register it and then send her a cease and desist letter and say,
Yeah.
no, you're using my brand.
Ooh, I have a lawyer who will do that for me.
There you go. You
Yeah,
can
things
do
like
that.
that, yeah.
But of course, if she's been sensible and if she's already done it, then unfortunately
Okay.
you have a problem.
Yeah, I really wanted, if I can find, what was the date on Saturday? Just trying to see stuff. Anybody know?
And then the other wrinkle that I got involved in is you can register the name as the name of your business. That doesn't preclude you from registering a URL.
Yeah, I
Because
looked
you
at
got
the
the
URL
copyright,
and like
doesn't mean you
I
have the
actually, because I
URL.
wanted to do this legit like a few years ago, and like the Feed Your Chakras, it's one of those ones where those people buy it out and try and sell it for
Oh, yeah.
thousands of dollars. So I was like,
Yeah, so you got to get creative. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So I got a website called Clicks for Ticks, and it's basically it's for a drama-free digital marketing for the arts. And it's basically about selling tickets. And I actually had somebody approach me about that they had a client who wanted to register the name, and they wanted me to send them $1,500.
okay, wow.
So I basically have a friend who's a copyright attorney, and what he told me was really interesting. He says you can't, if a name is that simple, you can't copyright it. There's
Yeah.
nothing unique there. It clicks, even though I spelt it funny, there's no words in there that would be unique to me or unique to the product. And so if I can't copyright it, neither can they. But I already had the URL, which frankly was all I cared about, so that just turned out to be a scam. So there's a lot of ways of approaching this. If you want to talk about this later, I'm certainly willing to,
I can put you guys in touch. I'm happy to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah. 'Cause I've done this
Thank you.
several times, several ways. I don't know what the deal is in Canada, but I could tell you what I've sort of went through.
Okay.
In touch.
It's easy, you just
Cool.
have to be thorough. That's it.
All right.
Sure.
Excellent. Before I take the next question, let me show, because there's some of you, Margaret's already my client, so I'm looking forward to helping her birth her books. I'm really looking forward to that. But it might be something that Michael, you've already had a chat with me, and Harvey as well. But Angela, I wonder if you could probably do with having a strategy session with me, which they might be able to help you. Let me show you how you, or anybody else who watches the replay, how you can book that. So let me just go back to my slides.
I found her title. I just posted it in the chat. So
Oh.
ugly compared to mine.
Excellent. It's horrible when that happens, isn't it? When you see that somebody else is using your name and you just think, you think, oh my God, but that's mine. That's mine. But yeah, it happens a lot, sadly. It happens a lot. Okay, so this is just a small section of my Hall of Fame. So these are the kinds of things that my clients do. It's that I say this so many times, it sounds like a broken record. It's not about writing a book. Most of us can write a book and whack it up on Amazon. It doesn't take much. It's about writing a book that really makes an impact, and it's writing a book that actually gets you, well, whether you want to get into the press, whether you want to be on TV, whether you want to work with certain influencers. It's about using the book as a very clever marketing tool that gets you, your mission, your brand, your business out there in a big way. It really isn't just about writing a book. In fact, I even jokingly say I don't actually create authors. I create thought leaders. It's not about just writing a book and getting out there. That's not what I'm interested in. So I thought I would show you this gentleman. Now, Luke has written 2 books with me now. He's actually threatening to come back next year and write his 3rd book. And I'm like, dear God, how many books do you want to write, Luke? But this is why he does so well. So before you're thinking, wow, he's scary looking, he is a teddy bear, not scary at all. The kind of guy you would leave your children with and you know they'd be very well looked after. But he has had a scary youth when he was in and out of jail, having loads of problems, and he turned it around, first of all through fitness and then through entrepreneurship, and that's what he does now. And what I've been so proud of Luke, he's now written 2 books with me, but what he did was he really internalized his passive income assets. So this on the left-hand side, and he went off after his first book and diligently created all of his assets. He went off and created an audiobook. He's created a self-paced program. He has a subscription service. He makes sure he has ebooks, and he's starting to get into tactful reselling. This gentleman has 2 businesses that's turning over roughly 2 million a year now. And that's because he built a business and brand off a book. So hopefully you can see that's what I'm wanting for you guys. It isn't just about anybody can write a book these days, guys. The barrier to entry is so low now. You can literally whack a book up on Amazon this weekend and call yourself an author. Doesn't really do anything. It's not going to change your life or anybody else's. It's about doing it correctly. And that's what we talk about inside one of my strategy sessions. So we talk about the route to thought leadership. So we talk about how to plan and write a book correctly for thought leadership. We talk about how to edit and design a book and publish a book to professional standards, and also the kind of marketing and PR it takes to become a thought leader. So if you want to join me for a strategy session, what we'll look at is in 3 parts. We'll look at your book ideas, if thought leadership is right for you. It's not always right for everybody. Part 2, we'll look at what process will get you there. And part 3, if the thought leader ecosystem, my program, can help, that's when we can go into the details. We can go into how long it takes, how much it costs, etc., etc. So if you're looking to join me in a strategy session, let me actually put this in the chat now. There we go. Okay, so I've got a few more minutes. It's in the chat now. I've got a few more minutes. Do you have any final questions? Let me just check the chat and see if I missed anything that people got put in the chat. Okay. No, I don't think it's so. Antonia, I hope Antonia did get inspiration to publish a book, but she left quite quickly, so I don't know if she actually, but hopefully she'll get the replay. I don't see any other questions. God, all of that looks really good, Angela.
Thank
You're
you.
good at it, aren't you? You're very
Yeah.
good at this. And yeah, I can see what you mean about the other book. Just looks.
It's like it doesn't even have real food on it. Like what?
Well, you know, this is the perfect example of what I just said before. It's not about becoming an author these days. That might have been a real draw 20 years ago before Amazon came on. You know, then actually becoming an author was a big deal. It's like, hey, I'm an author. People are like, oh my God, you're an author. You know, now anybody can be an author. Literally anybody. The barrier to entry is so low. You certainly don't need someone like me. You don't need an expert. You can just whack a book together this weekend and chuck it up on Amazon. And it looks like this lady did, to be honest. I'm pretty sure it's not been professionally edited or anything. I'm only judging from the cover, but the cover doesn't look professional. So that makes me think the insides are not going to be professional either.
Mhm.
It's not going to be laid out professionally. It's not going to be edited.
I know, and mine is like, I actually was planning on just doing an ebook, and everyone's like, I want the book because it's so
Yeah.
pretty. So
But that's what people do. And we have the saying, don't judge a book by its cover. We do.
Yeah.
We do
Yeah.
judge a book by its cover. And we do judge by the way it feels inside, the way it's been edited. It's not about just writing a book. If you want to write a book that makes a huge impact for other people and also makes a huge impact for you, it's got to be done right. It's not just about putting a book together and sticking it up on Amazon. That's not going to get you to where you want to be. Okay, so Sarah, bless you. You've joined us with literally 4 minutes to spare. So I wonder if you got the hours wrong. I do know during this time you
I
were-
did.
Oh, bless
I'm
you.
sorry.
I know it's all right, don't apologize. God, I get really confused during this time because different parts of the world are changing their times. They're going an hour forward. It says a lot about this world when we can't even agree on one date, the entire world to go forward. Like if we can't even agree on that, of course we're at war with each other. Of course, like when we can't even agree on just 2 dates in a year, let's this date be the date we go forward and this date be the date we go backwards. Easy. No, we can't even do that. So Sarah, it's not your fault. I know this time is usually a nightmare when different time zones are changing their times, but I'll make sure you get the replay so you don't miss a thing.
Okay, perfect. I was going to ask you that. Thank you so much.
I'll make sure you get the replay. Don't worry.
Okay.
Okay, any final questions before we close? Okay, well, I hope you got something from today. Please, I hope this hasn't overwhelmed you. I'm not now saying you now need to go off and as soon as you publish a book, you need an audiobook. You need to go and create a self-paced program, a subscription. Don't do that. As you've seen, my book has been out. Well, the first edition came out nearly 4 years ago. I've still not started the tackle reselling, and I'm only going to have an audiobook created later this year. That's after nearly 4 years. So you take your time, but just have it in mind. Really think of your book as, I always think your book should be like your true north or your Rome. Some people call it my Rome. You're my ancient Rome or whatever. That's what you need to think of it as. But it's not the be all and end all. It's the center. And then from that, what can you get from it? What can you create from it? Are there programs? Are there subscriptions? Are there other assets that you can create from it? That is what's going to really take your thought leadership and your visibility to the next level. And also it's going to create you those passive income streams. So therefore you are financially stable and then you can carry on doing what you're doing. You can't really be the best and you can't really make the biggest impact in the world when you're sat there looking at your bank account and you're worried about your financial future and your family's financial stability. So you need to take care of that first before you can really show up in the world and make the biggest impact. So I hope today has helped you. If you've got any more questions, do get in touch. Or if you've got a whole series of questions, book yourself in for a strategy session because that's exactly what they're there for. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. And hopefully I will see you at a future forum very soon.
Thank you.
Bye for now. Thank you for joining me.